Once again, N-Night has not disappointed with the 4th update in the bi-weekly updates, this time expanding on the exploration system, making the early game more based on discovery rather than relying on the GPS to guide you. But that's not everything. Let's go through all of the juicy points, and if you want more Sons of the Forest news coverage, remember to subscribe. Now, as for the new features in this update, I'll admit it is much smaller than the previous updates, but they have confirmed that the log sled, which many of you have been wanting, will be making a return in the next patch, providing all goes to plan. Now, you can find a new item, which is the action cam. I have actually found this, but because I don't want to spoil it for you, I will show you that at the end of the video, so just be warned. And this is going to give you a little bit more lore around the game. You're going to see some footage from it. And the biggest change, for me at least, in this update, which is pretty impressive, is the ability to change the saves' names, which is a huge one for me at least, because it now allows me to name a creative save for our epic build playlist, which we do regularly. And it also allows me to name my playthrough, so I don't need to run the risk of saving over it by accident. This does actually save me a lot of trouble locating the save, which is really important for me because I do share my epic build save over on Patreon, and I had previous problems with that the last couple of weeks. Other than that, the other feature that I've kind of already mentioned is the new point of discovery system, which is through the finding of discovery laptops. Finding one will place a GPS on your map. This one that I found is in the food bunker in the flooded security area. And the last new feature that they've added is for multiplayer games, and no doubt for servers in the future, we've now been given a kick and ban pop-up message for when you've been removed from the game. And that's it for features, but that's obviously not everything. They always supplement these updates with a ton of improvements and fixes. Notably, today we have the improvement that Kelvin can carry 2 logs instead of 1 now. I know, fantastic. Night vision goggles are brighter and have been improved based off of the previous update. And they've also made the Timmy fighting demon boss intro animation longer. I'm not going to show that here because I think a few of you will want to discover that yourself. And they've also improved the AI. For example, Virginia will now visit the player more if under high sentiment, and the Muddies, which have been so OP, are now more likely to flee when they're scared. Cannibals also have some new animation variations for running and lunging. The female cannibals will now sometimes drink blood from troughs or dead animals, and the males will sometimes start bashing dead bodies of enemies. There's also a few more spots within the camps for these cannibals to sit down or stand, which is, I guess, a nice little addition. There are also new skins for skinned animals. That sounds a bit odd, but there you go. And also the low health deers and moose will sometimes lay down and rest after running away. There's a new wetness amount for soaked players if they've been submerged or have been cleaning themselves in water, so beware of that. If you're getting cold, it might be because of that. Also, dead bodies can now be washed, which means I dread to think what a muddy looks like. The map has also got a north-pointing arrow on the mini-map, which is going to be useful for pointing out the various locations from now on. It also gives us a nice sense of direction, rather than us aimlessly walking around and hoping we're facing north, south, east, or west. Grenades and bombs also have water effect, and the binoculars, night vision goggles, wire, and light bulbs can now be added to the quick select slots. And the other thing, if we go over to the golf course, there's a new lake that they have added, and all of the current lakes, ponds, and rivers have all been added to the GPS. So that's had a little bit of a map update as well. These certainly aren't all of the new improvements, but certainly the most notable ones to me at least. There are also a ton of fixes that they've brought to the game, including Virginia's GPS now retaining the assigned icon that you've given her. They've also fixed some bugs which kept Virginia and Kevin being stuck in a sat position, and on top of this they've also fixed cases where a leaning beam snap point would be invalid. And there's actually a heap of minor fixes from building, sounds, and the AI, which I definitely recommend reading up on over on their Steam page, but there's so much that it's probably not worth talking about in this particular video. That being said, I am really interested in hearing what your thoughts are about this update. There's some really useful little additions, but this isn't as big as previous updates in my opinion. And I definitely feel that up until this update, they've been holding back a lot of content and trying to drip feed us the content until the larger updates were ready. But that's for a later date. Let's now check out the location of the action camera and get into that. If you're wondering where the action cam is, it's in the bunker here. So I think this is the residential one. I might be mistaken, but we're gonna go find it now. And we're just making our way through here. I feel that this update has actually decreased the amount of FPS I'm getting. There's a tiny bit of stuttering, but we're going to continue through here. And once you've gone through all of the residential areas, it's actually down here just before you head into or through these security doors. If you go into here where the dead cultists are, you'll notice that there is over here on the side the camera. So that is the location of it, and you can pick it up and then watch the footage. They did say this is the first, so I presume they're going to be adding more as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing the lore that they add. But we will now check this out. This is your warning. If you do not want to see the spoilers, then don't watch this, turn it off. There's not going to be anything else that we cover after this. Okay, here we go. It's a little bit creepy. We have the cultists, I presume these two. Oh, actually quite a few of them. All praying. And now they're... Did he just stab himself? Yeah. Oh, lovely. And I presume that's these two here. And there you go, that is the first one. Thank you so much for watching, and special thanks, of course, does go to all of our amazing supporters on Patreon, notably our Solo-Clips patrons, James Owen, Firefless, and Trebor, as well as our Lunars, The Calamity, Ben, Star, Shoku the Emin Wolf, and That Dude AW, as well as our Blood Moon of the Day, which today is Dashlom. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.